Tokyo at night was electric. Neon lights flickered like artificial stars, and crowds surged in tides through Shibuya's famous crosswalks. Among them was a group of 5 American exchange students, laughing, eyes wide at the strange and beautiful world around them. They were young, reckless, and hungry for experiences, the kind they could later tell stories about, the kind that sounded almost too unbelievable to be true. That night, they had one goal: break into Tokyo Plaza after hours. Not break into in the criminal sense, just sneak in, stay past closing time, and maybe record a TikTok or two. A viral trend had recently surfaced online, people daring each other to find the living mannequins of Tokyo Plaza. Videos showed glimpses of figures that moved ever so slightly, shadows in the glass, mannequins with eyes, not painted ones, real ones. "You know it's fake, right?" said Troy, the self-appointed leader of the group. He was tall, loud, and never believed in ghosts. Just Japanese urban legends. Marketing stunt. Probably. Casey rolled her eyes. "Sure, like the last time you said it wasn't haunted and we spent the night in a rice field with a crying statue." The rest of the group chuckled. There was Lena, soft-spoken, always carrying a camera. Dev, who claimed he could read Japanese, but mostly used Google Translate. And Ava, the skeptic with an attitude sharp enough to cut through steel. They entered just before 9 p.m. Tokyo Plaza was beautiful in the way modern architecture can be haunting. Tall glass windows stretched toward the heavens. Mannequins lined the display windows, too many of them. Some wore kimonos, some wore sleek, Western fashion, but all of them had one thing in common. They were too detailed. Skin tones had subtle variation. Hair wasn't molded plastic, it looked like it had been combed. One mannequin wore lipstick that seemed freshly applied. Another had visible veins beneath its pale wrists. Still, they laughed it off. When the closing announcement echoed through the mall in soft Japanese tones, they hid inside the changing rooms of a large clothing store. 10 minutes later, they emerged, grinning like kids breaking rules at summer camp. But the mall was different now. Dimmer, quieter, colder. The escalators were frozen. The lights flickered overhead with a soft, sickly hum. "Okay," said Troy, clapping his hands. "Let's film this." They wandered deeper into the plaza, phones out, recording everything. Casey zoomed in on mannequins, whispering fake ghost commentary. Dev joked about finding a secret level in a horror game. Then Ava stopped walking. "Hey," she said slowly, "wasn't that mannequin facing the other way before?" Everyone turned. It was a tall male mannequin in a black suit, its head now tilted just slightly toward them, smiling. "Stop it." Ava double quotes. Troy waved it off. No way it moved, but something hung in the air, static, like the moment before a thunderclap. Lena looked pale. "Guys, I read something online before coming here about rules. There are supposed to be 7 of them." "Rules?" Dev raised a brow. "Like what?" Lena hesitated. "I only remember some." One of them said, "Don't look into their eyes for more than 5 seconds." There was silence. Ava scoffed. "It's just a story. You really think?" Then her phone screen glitched. Just for a second, but clearly. The camera app distorted. And behind her, in the blurry glass reflection, one of the mannequins in red was gone. Everyone froze. "Ava," Casey whispered. "Turn around." She did. The red mannequin now stood right behind her, inches away, its fingers bent slightly. The group screamed and bolted. They ran through the quiet corridors of the closed mall, feet echoing against marble floors. Troy led the way, and for a moment it felt like a joke gone too far, until they reached the atrium and found a new mannequin. One that looked just like a man who had been filming TikToks in the plaza 2 weeks ago. The viral video still existed. He had disappeared afterward. The mannequin's eyes stared directly at them. No paint. Just wet, glassy, human eyes. The group didn't speak, didn't film. They backed away slowly. They needed to leave now. But the escalators were off. The elevators were jammed. And in the quiet, echoing space of Tokyo Plaza, after hours, they heard something. Click, click, click. The sound of high heels tapping down the marble hall. But when they turned toward the sound, there was no one there. Troy almost turned his head. Almost. But Lena screamed, "Don't. One of the rules, don't. Turn around if you hear heels and see no one." He froze. The sound passed behind them and faded. They were still safe, for now. But they had broken the first rule. One of them had stared too long, and the mannequins were watching. The group huddled together in the middle of the abandoned atrium, surrounded by luxury storefronts, and mannequins that looked a little too alert. Every glossy window reflected their pale faces, wide eyes, and trembling hands. "I want out," Ava whispered. "This was a bad idea. This is beyond creepy." Troy nodded, for once without a snarky comment. His bravado had cracked. "The emergency exit," he said. "Back behind the food court. Let's move." They walked quickly, trying not to look directly at any of the mannequins lining the corridors, an impossible task. Their glassy stares were everywhere. Some were turned slightly now, as if repositioned, as if they were listening. Lena trailed, slightly behind the others, clutching her camera to her chest. It was still recording. She didn't even care anymore. The footage might be their only evidence. Her thoughts were scattered, but one thing kept coming back: the rules. She tried to remember all 7. She remembered number 1. Don't look them in the eyes. Someone already had. She remembered number 4. Don't turn around when you hear heels. That one had nearly gotten Troy. And she remembered one more: if a mannequin disappears, run, which meant her breath caught in her throat. A mannequin was missing from the display outside the luxury shoe boutique. It had been a man in a pinstripe suit. Now, only the base stand remained. No sign of the figure. She opened her mouth to call out to the others when she saw movement. A tall figure stood at the end of the corridor, still, hands folded in front of it. It wasn't there before. It was wearing the pinstripe suit. But now, its head turned slowly toward her. Just a tilt. Mechanical, unnatural. Lena turned and ran. At the food court, the others were trying to pry open a security door when Lena caught up. Breathless, it moved. One of them moved. "It's following us." "Which one?" Casey asked. I don't know. The one in the suit." It disappeared, and then a loud click echoed through the plaza. The security lights flickered. The door in front of them hissed, then clicked again. Lock.dev groaned. "Great. Trapped in a haunted mall with murder mannequins. What's next?" The words barely left his mouth before they all heard it again. Click, click, click. The sound of heels, sharp, deliberate. Closer this time, echoing from behind the kitchen area. "Don't turn around," Lena warned again. "Not unless you see." "Who's making the sound?" They froze. The tapping continued. Then silence. But something had changed. A chill ran through the air like a current. The lights flickered violently. And then, from the shadows, came a voice, a whisper, soft but distinct, female. "Casey," it was said gently, like a lullaby. Casey's blood turned to ice. "That's my mom's voice," she whispered, tears brimming. "Don't listen," Ava hissed. "She's in New Jersey. That can't be her." But the voice came again. "Casey, come here, sweetheart." This time, softer, closer. Casey's legs moved on their own. "No, don't." Lena grabbed her arm, but Casey pulled away, tears running down her face. "I just want to see if she's there. Just in case." She took 3 steps into the darkness beyond the food counter. A beat of silence, then a sharp thud. The others rushed after her, but she was gone. Nothing was left except her phone. Face down on the floor. It was still recording. On the screen, they saw Casey's final seconds, her walking toward something, her expression changing. Then a brief flash of something white and smiling. A face that wasn't human but wore one. Then darkness. They didn't speak. Grief was overwhelmed by fear. 3 left now: Troy, Lena, and Dev. Dev was panicking. "We need a map, some kind of staff layout. There has to be an employee access stairwell or something." Troy nodded. "There's a customer service desk on the 4th floor. We try there." They took the stairs. As they moved, Lena noticed something terrifying. The mannequins were moving floors too. One they'd seen near the 1st floor jewelry store was now waiting beside a vending machine. Another leaned against a railing, its face now turned toward them as they passed. But they hadn't heard footsteps, only silence, only watching. They made it to the 4th floor. It was a minimalist, open area with several boutiques and the information. Kiosk. Dev rushed ahead to the counter. There's a back stairwell on this map, north corner. But before they could go, Lena stopped dead. Her voice was barely a whisper. Don't move. Troy followed her gaze. A mannequin stood directly across the wide space. It wasn't there before. It wore a red dress. Which red? Troy asked. Why does that matter? Lena remembered now. The third rule, don't touch the mannequins in. Red. Dev was already backing away. No one's touching anything. We just go around. But as they turned, something grabbed Lena's arm. Cold. Plastic. Unyielding. The mannequin in red had moved its hand now on her wrist. Her scream pierced the air. Troy yanked her back, tearing the mannequin's hand away. But for a second, its head turned again, almost reluctantly, as if disappointed. Lena collapsed, shaking. Her wrist was red, not bruised, frostbitten. The others helped her up, but they knew it now. The rules weren't arbitrary. They were warnings, and they were breaking them one by one. Lena's wrist still ached cold, like her bones had been dipped in dry ice. The skin was pale with a bluish hue, and Troy kept glancing at it like he was afraid it might start peeling off. Dev led the way now, clutching a crumpled copy of the mall directory they'd ripped from the info counter. Back stairwell is over there, he said, pointing toward a service corridor past a boutique filled with crystal figurines and perfume. But none of them moved right away. The mannequins had started to gather. 3 stood near the escalators, 2 more near the fountain that had stopped running, and 1, tall and thin with a cracked porcelain face, was now halfway through a glass door as if it had tried to walk through. The trio walked quickly, keeping their heads down, avoiding eye contact with the figures. The silence in the mall felt like pressure in the ears, thick and unnatural, like something was listening. The service corridor was dim, with exposed pipes and flickering fluorescence. It was narrow, and the air smelled like stale perfume and metal. As they turned the corner, they found an elevator tucked between maintenance doors. A yellowed sign above it read authorized personnel only. Dev pressed the call button. Lena stepped back. We're not taking that. One of the rules. I remembered another one, something about elevators. No choice, Troy muttered. We're not making it past that red dress again. Ding. The elevator opened. Empty. The panel inside glowed faintly. Troy reached in to press the button for the basement level, the supposed staff exit. But the panel didn't respond. Instead, every button went dark except 1, 3, and then it lit up by itself. That's not good, Dev whispered. It's trying to take us to the 3rd floor, Lena said, panic rising in her throat. There's a rule. I know there's a rule. Don't get into the elevator if it stops on the 3rd floor at 9:33. Dev glanced at his phone. 9:3 to p.m. Troy cursed. We wait a minute. If it hits 9:33 while the doors are open, fine. But we're not stepping in. But then the elevator dinged again. The floor number hadn't changed. Still on 4. But the sound had come from inside. A second ding. Then, a sound like breathing. Dev stepped back. Nope, I'm done. But as he turned to walk away, the elevator lights died. A moment later, the lights in the hallway flickered off to complete darkness. Only Lena's phone flashlight remained, and even that dimmed for a moment before stabilizing. Guys, Lena whispered. Troy's voice came from somewhere ahead. Stay together. Don't move. Then came the sound of footsteps. Not heels this time. Barefoot, soft, deliberate. They came from the elevator. And then, from the shadows, a figure stepped out. It looked like Dev. Same hoodie, same shoes. But he didn't speak. He didn't blink. And something was wrong with his neck. Too stiff, angled slightly sideways, like it had been twisted and never reset. Lena froze. Troy raised his voice. Dev, you good? The figure took another step. Lena shined her light fully on it. It wasn't Dev. It was a mannequin made in his likeness. Glass eyes, plastic skin. Then she turned. Dev was gone. No sound, no struggle, just a missing. The thing standing before them was his replacement. They ran. Troy didn't speak. He just grabbed Lena's hand and bolted down the corridor, taking the stairs instead of the elevator. 2 steps at a time. They didn't stop until they reached the 2nd floor. The air here was warmer, somehow humid, like breath on glass. Lena collapsed against a bench outside a bookstore, trying to breathe. "They're not just replacing us," she gasped. "They're copying us." Troy nodded slowly. "It's like they're watching, learning, then swapping us out like props." Across from them, in the window of a cosmetics store, a new mannequin had been added, wearing Dev's hoodie. Same shoes. Same smirk. But its eyes were empty. They moved carefully now. Every step was calculated, every turn double-checked. But the rules still weighed heavy on them, and Lena remembered one more. If a mannequin disappears, leave immediately. They turned a corner near a long-forgotten accessories shop and saw something that made both of them freeze. A display stand, half empty. A female mannequin had once stood there, one in a wedding dress. Now it was gone. Troy backed away. But then something caught Lena's eye, taped to the inside of the display case. A small, torn note, handwritten in Japanese. It was old, faded. She grabbed it, hands shaking. She could only make out a few phrases, but she recognized the characters for Rules Trap, and one sentence Dev had taught her to spot. "They want to be real." Beneath it was a date, 1987, and a name, Akemi Ito, floor manager, Tokyo Plaza. "Someone knew," she whispered. "Someone knew and tried to warn people." Troy took the note, scanning it with his translation app. The full message read, "They are the abandoned ones, left behind, forgotten. They trade places with those who ignore the rules, the red ones. Tempt, the silent ones observe. And if you see one move, it has already chosen you." Lena clutched her wrist again. It was colder now, spreading. "We're not getting out, are we?" she whispered. Troy looked around at the mannequins, the stillness, the shadows. "We will. We just need to survive the rules." But Lena didn't respond. She was staring at the window behind him, where two mannequins now stood. One was new, and it wore Troy's jacket. Asterisk. Lena didn't scream. There was no point. She just stood there, breath caught in her chest, staring at the mannequin wearing Troy's jacket. Same fit, same tears at the sleeves, even the same scuffed collar. Its head tilted slightly, its smile crooked, almost smug. He was gone. She was alone, truly, terrifyingly alone. No footsteps, no voices, just the low, humming silence of Tokyo Plaza after dark, and the dozens of eyes watching her. Eyes that never blinked, eyes that used to belong to people. Her body shook as she backed away from the display. She had no plan, no escape, only one thought on repeat in her head. Find the source, somewhere inside this mall. This haunted monument of glass and polished tile. There had to be an answer. And then she remembered the note. The name at the bottom, Akemi Ito, floor manager, 1987. She didn't know why, but the year stuck with her. Something about it felt wrong, out of place. Tokyo Plaza hadn't opened to the public until the mid-90s. So how could someone be managing a floor here before it existed? Unless, she stared up at the glass ceiling far above. There were rumors when the mall opened an earlier structure had been built on the site, an upscale department store that was shut down after a fire. No official record survived, but whispers said the third floor had once been sealed off, repurposed, renamed, and above it was one more level, an inaccessible 8th floor, not on the directory, not in public records. But maybe Akemi's room was still there. Lena found the fire stairs. She passed mannequins along the way, each one too still, too posed. She kept her gaze on the floor. No eye contact, no sounds. Her wrist ached more now. The cold had reached her elbow. Her skin was turning gray. She was running out of time. The 8th floor didn't exist on any mall map, but the stairwell had a rusted door at the top, unmarked, dusty, and sealed with a chain that looked older than she used a fallen clothing rack from the 6th floor to break the lock. The door creaked open. Darkness swallowed her. It wasn't a normal floor. It was unfinished exposed concrete, no lights. Like a forgotten wing of the mall. Dust coated the air, and old mannequins lay broken across the hall. These ones weren't like the others. They weren't modern. They had ceramic skin, glass eyes, and real hair matted and tangled. Some were missing limbs. Others had names scrawled on tags tied around their necks. Akemi Ito, Yuriko Tanaka, Satoshi Morita. All names. All dates from 1987. She stepped deeper into the darkness. One door stood at the end of the hallway. It had been painted shut, but time had peeled away the coat. The label read, "Storage, Employees Only." Lena pushed it. Open. Inside was a small office, dimly lit by a dying ceiling bulb. Dust floated like snow on the desk, a tape recorder, an old journal, and a broken name badge. Akemi Ito. Lena pressed play. The tape hissed, then a woman's voice, brittle and distant. "If you're hearing this, I'm sorry. I tried to contain them. The mannequins. They were never just mannequins. They came to us in shipments after the fire. Marked beautiful, real to real. We displayed them proudly. But then, they started to move. Employees went missing. I saw one of them turn, right before my eyes. Her skin hardened. Her breath stopped. She looked at me and begged. Then silence. It's not a haunting. It's a trade. A deal made long ago. This place wants to stay alive, and it feeds on those who forget the rules. If you see one move, it's already too late. They want to be you, and worst of all, once you start turning, there's nothing that can stop it. Except, the tape cut out. Lena stared at the recorder. She checked the journal. Next half of it burned. But one passage remained. I sealed the 8th floor. I tried to bury the original showroom, but the plaza was built over it. Now they move again. I've written 7 rules, not to stop them, just to delay the inevitable. Beneath it, scratched, in pen, if someone finishes all 7, they don't become mannequins. They become something worse. Lena dropped the journal. Her arm was no longer hers. The skin was stone-like, smooth, unfeeling. The change was accelerating. She stumbled from the room, dizzy, disoriented. Mannequins now filled the hallway behind her, hundreds of them, blocking the stairwell, all watching, waiting. She turned and saw her reflection in a dusty glass panel. She was fading. Not just physically. Her thoughts, her memories. She couldn't remember her parents' faces. Her voice sounded distant, hollow. She ran through the halls. Down the levels. Past the red dress, past the pinstripe suit, all the way to the central atrium where they had entered. And there, on the marble floor, was her camera, still recording. The screen blinked. Battery low. She picked it up, looked into the lens, and whispered, "If anyone finds this, don't follow us. Don't come here. Remember the rules. Obey them. Run if you can." Then she turned around and saw a mannequin wearing her jacket, holding her camera, frozen, mid-step in the exact pose she was in. The lens blinked. Recording stopped. 3 months later, a travel vlogger named Ashley Moore uploaded a video titled 5 Hidden Tokyo Malls You've Never Seen Before. The video was upbeat, fast-cut, saturated with bright filters. She filmed herself wandering through lesser-known shopping centers in the city's small cafes, pop-up art spaces, even a half-renovated bookstore with a spiral staircase leading nowhere. One of the final locations in the video caught unusual attention: Tokyo Plaza. Her footage was brief, only a few seconds of glass exterior, faded signage, and a quick mention that the mall had recently reopened a few lower levels after maintenance. She claimed most stores were empty, and the upper floor is still under renovation. But in the comments section, someone posted a single question: "Did you see the mannequins?" Ashley didn't reply, but a few weeks later, her followers noticed something strange in one of her behind-the-scenes videos. In the background of a selfie taken inside Tokyo Plaza stood a mannequin wearing her exact outfit. Same hat, same boots, same bracelet. No one could explain it. 1 week earlier, the camera was discovered by a janitor during a routine sweep of the basement trash chute. It was old, damaged. The memory card was melted around the edges, but one video file had survived corrupted. But PLAYABLE. The security staff, curious and bored, played it. The footage was shaky, dimly lit. A girl's face, Lena, staring into the lens, whispering warnings. They laughed at first. Another creepypasta, another ghost girl video, the kind of thing teens film in parking garages. But then they noticed something. At the end of the video, there was a mannequin in the background. It moved, just slightly, but enough. Someone posted the clip online. It went viral in under 48 hours. Comments flooded in. This has to be fake. I swear I saw that mannequin move. Looks like one of those Japanese curse games. Imagine trying the 7 Rules Challenge IRL. And so it began. Again. 3 high schoolers from the US, studying abroad in Japan, decided to test the legend. They downloaded the video, wrote down what they could transcribe from Lena's whispered voice, and added other rules from message boards and Reddit threads. Some were accurate, others made up for effect. They even made a hashtag Tokyo Mannequin Challenge. That weekend, they snuck into Tokyo Plaza after hours. They laughed, filmed, mocked the rules, one by one. Their phones began to glitch, one by one. They broke the rules. They stared too long. They touched a red dress. One of them entered the elevator at 9:33. Only one of them made it back out. Barely. He claimed they were taken. He claimed one of the mannequins whispered his name in his mother's voice. No one believed him. A few months later, Tokyo Plaza was fully reopened. A new promotional campaign began. Luxury shops, Instagrammable cafes, even a special mannequin exhibit on the top floor. Visitors were encouraged to take selfies with the hyper-realistic figures. The ad campaign was a hit, until someone noticed that the mannequins were changing. Not their clothes, their faces. One day, one of them looked exactly like a woman who had visited the mall the week before. She was never seen again. Somewhere inside the plaza, deep within the structure, behind walls no one remembered building, a room remained untouched, dusty, cold, silent. A broken mirror reflected a half-finished mannequin sitting in a chair. Its skin looked real, too real. Its eyes were glassy, but not dead, watching. And next to it stood another mannequin, one holding a camera, wearing a torn jacket. It looked like Lena, but its face was different now. Soft, blank, ready to become someone else. The final entry in Akemi Ito's journal lay beneath it, scrawled in frantic handwriting. It read, "The 7th rule is the one no one remembers. If you break all 6, don't speak, not a word, not a scream, not even a whisper. Because when you speak, they find your voice. And then, you're not the one warning them anymore. You're just the one pulling them in." Somewhere, a new video was uploaded. A girl's face on screen. She looked terrified. She whispered, "If you're seeing this, it's already too late." Her name wasn't Lena, but her eyes were the same. And behind her, in the corner of the frame, a mannequin smiled.